Has this ever happened to you? Have you ever damn near nicked your ball sack or completely ended up chopping your dick off? Well, there's a company here that's sole mission is to prevent this from ever happening again, and they are called Manscaped. Manscaped designed a perfect shaver to ensure that you never nick your balls again, called the Lawnmower 2.0. And as you can see, it's also waterproof, and you could use it on other areas other than just your balls. Now, this company is so legitimate that they were able to secure a huge investment from Dallas Mavericks owner Mark Cuban. And I also got a promo code for you guys to use for 20% off. Use promo code TheFlightMike to get yourself a nice little discount whenever you shop for Manscaped products. It finally happened, ladies and gentlemen. We've all knew this was going to happen eventually, and it finally happened. The Knicks are the worst team in the NBA once again, despite having a fairly promising roster. And I understand, I get it. A team that features Frank Ntilikina, Julius Randle, Marcus Morris, Kevin Knox, Mitchell Robinson, Elfrid Payton, and RJ Barrett, and Reggie Bullock and Taj Gibson isn't exactly a team that strikes fear into your hearts, but at the same time, I do have to agree that it is not a team that should be the worst team in the NBA right now. Now, despite all of this information, the New York Knicks deemed it necessary to fire their head coach, David Fizdale. And I don't know how I feel about this because there's been one consistency throughout the dysfunction of the New York Knicks, and I'm not going to say James Dolan because, yes, I understand James Dolan is viewed in a fairly negative light by some Knicks fans, and yes, he is an extension of all of the mistakes that are going on, but if you pay attention to the history of the Knicks, there's been one consistent factor in the Knicks dysfunction, and someone that they could get rid of in a heartbeat if they wanted to, and that's Steve Mills. And honestly, what's bothering me here is Steve Mills, and I guess you could also put Scott Perry in the mix, but Scott Perry just entered the picture about 2 years ago, so I don't know how much of his fault it is, has been absolutely toxic to this organization. And if you disagree with me, let me know in the comment section down below, because I think they've done a great job assembling talent. But at the same time, the one thing that is scaring players from playing for this franchise is how toxic and how dysfunctional the front office is. And it's really tough because you have to understand James Dolan's position. On one hand, continuity is very important. If your team doesn't have continuity in the front office, they will automatically become a dysfunctional organization. But at the same time, if you do have continuity and the team is just terrible on a consistent basis, it doesn't really matter. So pretty much what I'm saying is you don't want to be the team that fires their head coach every single year, but you don't want to be the team that keeps a terrible head coach in place every single year. But thankfully in basketball, you don't really see this that often. And speaking of which, guys, I'm starting a football channel. It's called Microphone. I'm going to leave a link to it in the description down below if you guys want to see my football content. I am a huge fan of the NFL. You guys have probably seen me make the comparisons to the NBA consistently, so I'm going to leave a link to that in the description down below. If you're new to the channel, you see a lot of my content get recommended to you. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. I'm going full-time at 500,000 subscribers. And finally, I've been getting hit with copyright claims, guys, so make sure you're following me on IGTV or Instagram in case my channel gets terminated. That's how I will be in contact with you guys. So let's dissect the Knicks. Are they supposed to be in the position they're in? Scott Perry and Steve Mills say that they built a competitive roster, and to be honest, they are not right at all whatsoever. This is not a team that's supposed to be competitive. But no matter what, you never want to be the last place team in the Eastern Conference because, first of all, if you are last place, it means that there's no progress being made whatsoever in the East. Meaning, you want to see RJ Barrett start building towards fulfilling his potential. You want to see Frank Ntilikina start building towards becoming a great two-way threat. You want to see Julius Randle dominating defenses with his versatile offensive set, and you want to see Marcus Morris making it rain and making teams pay for closing in on Julius Randle. And the problem is we haven't seen any development of Dennis Smith Jr., Kevin Knox, Mitchell Robinson, and especially Frank Ntilikina. And what's scary about this is Frank Ntilikina is really on the verge of becoming a player that's about to trend towards bust territory, and that's not even his own fault. A lot of people don't realize that a player is only going to be as good as the situation he's drafted to. So the Knicks really need to do what they can to make Frank Ntilikina the two-way beast that he's supposed to be. And so far, they failed him so badly, it drives me insane. If you guys remember, Frank Ntilikina was the final draft pick of the Phil Jackson era, and he was drafted because he was deemed as the perfect triangle offense point guard, just a point guard that could come in and hit the open three, and at the same time doesn't really need to be a great playmaker. You can just plug him in and just have him run the offense. You don't really need a great playmaker to run the triangle offense. If you remember, look at players like Ron Harper or Derek Fisher or even BJ Armstrong or even John Paxson. You really don't need to be good at making plays for your teammates. Rather, you just need to be able to hit the open three and play good defense. And that's why they drafted Frank Ntilikina over Dennis Smith Jr. in the 2017 NBA draft. Now, here's what I think got the Knicks really upset. LeBron James played against Dennis Smith Jr. when Dennis Smith was a rookie. And you have to understand, Dennis Smith was a very impressive rookie. He played pretty much how Steve Francis used to play. He was dunking all over everybody. He was super athletic. He had an inconsistent shot, but it was going in more often than not back then. And I guess LeBron James's comments really got to the New York Knicks to the point where they decided to trade Kristaps Porzingis and Tim Hardaway Jr. to the Dallas Mavericks for a package centered around Dennis Smith Jr., which isn't really the worst acquisition. It's really funny to me because you just watch the Knicks consistently fail their young talent once their young talent starts to seem promising. Kevin Knox had an incredible rookie year where he put up 13 points per game, shot 34% from three. He was shooting 37% from the field as well, but the potential was there for him to be your typical small ball power forward. You look at Kevin Knox and you see Draymond Green in his game. And in the beginning of his career, he was looking really good, but ever since it seems like as he plays more and more games for the New York Knicks, he just gets worse and worse. And it's really sad to see because this is a player that was dominating Summer League in his rookie year, dominating throughout the first 15 games of his career, and then just recently is starting to play worse and worse. And then it's just a consistent theme that you see with all of their young talent. Mitchell Robinson, for example, is quietly having a career year for himself. If you didn't know this, this is going to blow your mind, but he currently has 9 points, 7 rebounds, and 0.6 assists per game. He's shooting 69% from the field, and he has a player efficiency rating of 23.1. And I guess this is where we could call in terrible coaching. And I guess this is the thing that could make David Fizdale look really bad. Why on earth is Mitchell Robinson only playing 20 minutes per game if he's doing this well? At the end of the day, here's what I think the main issue for the New York Knicks is. And correct me if I'm wrong, tell me if I'm right. I don't think it's coaching because they've been bringing in coach after coach after coach. Literally, I feel like the next head coach they bring in is going to be just as bad as David Fizdale was. All David Fizdale has been is a player's coach who's able to relate to the players very well. It doesn't matter who it is, from David Fizdale to Jeff Hornacek to Kurt Rambis to Derek Fisher. I feel like no matter what they do, until there's some sort of cultural shift, there is nothing the Knicks can do. The Knicks pretty much need a Steve Kerr-esque type of hire, or they need I guess to compare this to the NFL, they need a Sean McVay of the NBA pretty much. They need some guy to come in and rejuvenate the franchise. They need some sort of Greg Popovich-like figure going into the franchise to fix what's going on, because there needs to be some sort of system that puts all of those players in a position to succeed. You need a coach that puts RJ Barrett in the occasional isolation ball situation. You need a coach that could put Dennis Smith Jr. in a pick and roll that will allow him to slash to the rim at will or create plays for other players based off of the plays that they've already have. You need someone that will put Kevin Knox into situations to spot up from three, or Marcus Morris in situations to spot up from three. And you need a coach, most importantly, to develop Frank Ntilikina to fulfill at least 25% of his potential. I don't think David Fizdale was the problem. I feel like David Fizdale would be the ideal type of coach for, say, the same way Tyronn Lue was the coach of the Cleveland Cavaliers. Fizdale will have veterans listen to him. Fizdale will have players that want to win a championship listen to him. Fizdale wasn't really the best developmental head coach, and I feel like that's why he was fired. But at the end of the day, I feel like the one consistent failure in this entire organization has been Steve Mills. But let me know in the comment section down below if you disagree with me. And we all know, I don't know if you guys know, but the next rumored head coach for the rest of the year is going to be none other than a player that was once coached by Fizdale, well, when Fizdale was an assistant in Miami, and that's Mike Miller. So I'm excited to see how Mike Miller will be. He's a very young coach. He's 39 years old, and he has a passion for the game, and honestly, based off of his interviews, he seems like a really chill dude. But let me know in the comment section whose fault you think this is.